It was a quiet Tuesday morning in Crest VYEW Meadows, the kind where you sip coffee on your porch and wave at neighbors walking their dogs. I'm Ethan Carter, just a guy trying to live a simple life in this suburban corner of Ohio. But that peace shattered when I glanced up at my roof and saw a woman in faded pink pajamas, paint roller in hand, slathering bright red paint over my solar panels. "What the hell are you doing?" I shouted, spilling my coffee as I bolted outside. She barely looked down, her voice icy. "Black panels aren't allowed here. Red's the approved color. No warning, no permission, just her, defacing a DULA 20,000 system like it was a backyard fence. I demanded she stop, but she kept rolling, calm as you please. "Who are you?" I asked, my heart pounding. "I'm Laura Hensley, the new HOA president," she said, dipping her roller back into the can. "This is the rule." I was dumbfounded. Who climbs onto someone's roof in pajamas to enforce HOA bylaws? I grabbed my phone, hit record, and captured her ruining my panels, the red paint glistening in the morning sun. If you've ever dealt with an HOA that made your life a nightmare, you'll feel this. Drop a comment below. I need to know I'm not alone in this madness. Laura wasn't just some nosy neighbor. She was a force, standing there in slippers, destroying equipment that took me months to install. I tried reasoning. "Those are solar panels. They need sunlight to work." She paused, giving me a look like I was a kid who didn't get it. "I don't care what they are. Black's not allowed. Red's standard." My blood boiled. She finished her paint job, climbed down with surprising grace, and wiped her hands on a rag. "I'll be back Saturday to check for other violations," she said, her tone dripping with authority. "This neighborhood's got issues." It wasn't a promised seat, it was a threat. I called Jake Larson, the electrician who'd helped me set up the system when I moved to Crest VYEW 6 months ago. He showed up, took one look at the red-coated panels, and shook his head. "Ethan, they're toast. Panels need direct sun. This paint's cut their efficiency to maybe 5 fan tram." The cost hit me like a punch. New panels would run me thousands. But what Laura didn't know, and what I was about to learn, was that those panels weren't just power in my house. They were the backbone of something much bigger. That afternoon, I cited Margaret Tate, the former HOA president who'd welcomed me to the neighborhood. Margaret, a sharp 72-year-old with a no-nonsense VYB, went pale when I told her what happened. "She painted your panels?" she asked, ushering me into her cozy VYing room. "Ethan, there's something you need to know." She pulled a folder from a locked drawer and showed me papers I'd signed in the chaos of MOVYing. "Your panels don't just power your home," she said. "They feed the backup system for our neighborhood security cameras. 3 years ago, Crest VYEW had power outages that left our cameras useless, making us a target for break-ins. When I moved in, an engineer by trade, the HOA struck a deal. My panels would keep the cameras running, and they'd cover maintenance costs and toss in tax breaks. Only the HOA president was supposed to know, to avoid security leaks." Margaret's voice grew grim. "Those cameras cover every entrance, main roads, and homes with past break-in attempts. Without your panels, the backup power lasts 72 hours. Then we're blind." She tried warning Laura about the setup, but Laura dismissed her as old news and refused to listen. The weight of it sank in. Laura hadn't just wrecked my property, she'd put the whole neighborhood at risk. Recent reports of strangers lurking after dark made it worse. Instead of confronting her, I decided to play smart. I set up my own cameras around my property, small and hidden, to track her next moves. Jake helped rig a temporary power fix for my essentials, and we agreed to keep it quiet. This was chess, and I was ready to outmaneuver her. By Wednesday, the fallout started. My new cameras caught 2 street cameras flickering red, a sign their power was failing, just as Margaret predicted. I started a notebook, logging every glitch, knowing it'd be crucial. Margaret called, her voice urgent. "Ethan, Laura was just here." I showed her the contracts, explained the cameras, but she accused me of shady deals to undermine her. Laura had let slip that her uncle, Victor Hensley, was a real estate developer eyeing Crest VYEW for a luxury makeover. Margaret, a 30-year resident, saw the pattern. Devalue homes, push out locals, and sell high. Laura wasn't just power-hungry, she was part of scheme. That afternoon, Laura upped the ante. A certified letter listed violations at my house. Grass 2 inches too tall, a faded mailbox post, tire marks on my driveway. Each carried a due law 50 fine, with daily penalties if not fixed in 72 hours. She signed it as President and Chief Enforcement Officer of the Crest VY Meadows HOA. By Thursday, 5 street cameras were on emergency power, their red lights blinking. My cameras caught Laura prowling at night, flashlight in hand, snapping photos of minor flaws, overgrown shrubs, misplaced lawn gnomes focusing on elderly residents and young families. Friday's HOA meeting was Laura's stage. 30 residents showed up as she flashed slides of violations, with my house as the poster child for defiance. She proposed due law 500 daily fines for noncompliance, even floating forced home sales. Brian Foster, a quiet guy who'd moved in last year, sat behind her, nodding like a loyal sidekick. He suggested non-compliant residents find more suitable neighborhoods. Their teamwork felt scripted, designed to scare anyone who'd push back. Older residents looked rattled, especially at the talk of losing their homes. Margaret shook her head, but stayed silent as Laura brushed off questions about her plan's legality. After the meeting, I overheard Laura and Brian plotting. "Ethan's case is perfect," she whispered. "If we break him, everyone else falls in line." They named other targets, homes ripe for improvement once owners were squeezed out. It clicked. Laura's enforcement was a front to tank property values for her uncle's gain. By Saturday, 8 of 12 security cameras were failing. I documented each one, timestamps and all, building my case. Laura issued 6 more violation notices that Darrow's bushes too wide, toys in a yard each, with threats of fines or forced compliance. Sunday night, the first break-in hit. Mrs. Peterson called me at 11 p.m., spooked by shadows near her patio. The cameras in her area were dead, their power gone. I patrolled with a flashlight, but found nothing. Monday morning, the news was grim. 3 homes hit overnight, thieves taking electronics, jewelry, and cash. The jobs were clean, professional, like they knew our defenses were down. I called my old college buddy, Detective Sarah Bennett, and laid out the timeline. She walked the neighborhood with me, eyeing the dark cameras. "Ethan, these break-ins line up exactly with your panel sabotage. Either it's a wild coincidence or someone new." Tuesday's emergency HOA meeting was pure theater. Laura, the woman who'd caused the crisis, played SAVY, or vowing to fix security. And she pointed at me. "Ethan Carter's refusal to follow HOA rules has created a lawless VYB that in VY crime." Brian chimed in, claiming my selfishness endangered everyone. It was absurd, but the crowd was tense. Tom Bradley, a retired cop, called her out. "How does Ethan's grass cause camera failures?" Laura fumbled, blaming technical issues and dodging the panel question. She pushed new measures, private guards funded by fees tied to compliance, liens on VYO ladders, and foreclosure threats. It was a power grab, plain and simple. The crime wave rolled on. Wednesday night, 2 more homes were hit, including one near mine. Thursday morning, irony struck. Laura's own house was burglarized, her laptop and jewelry gone. Sarah met me privately, her voice low. "These aren't random hits. The thieves know exactly when cameras are off and who's away. Someone's feeding them intel." That night, my cameras caught Laura meeting a man in a dark car outside camera range. They traded an envelope for photos and papers, her movements furtive. I couldn't hear them, but it screamed shady. Friday, Laura doubled down. A letter slapped a due law 3,750 lien on my home for accumulated fines, plus new citations. My private cameras disturbed neighbors. My garden hose was VY Cybele. The pressure was crushing, but my footage was gold. I caught Laura sneaking into backyards, testing locks, and photographing homes later hit by thieves. Saturday, she and Brian showed up at my door, demanding a compliance inspection. I handed her a folder with my HOA deal and camera contracts. Her smugness cracked just for a second. The next morning, Tom Bradley's house was hit while he was at his grandson's game. As a former cop, he didn't sit idle. He traced the camera failures to my panels and rallied residents. By Sunday evening, he called an emergency meeting, no Laura involved. 70 neighbors packed the community center. Margaret brought the contracts, Jake explained the panel's role, and I showed my timeline linking Laura's paint job to the break-ins. Then came a bombshell, my footage of Laura casing homes. The room exploded. You weren't enforcing rules. Tom roared. You were setting us up. Laura, flanked by Brian and a lawyer, went white. Brian tried to bail, claiming ignorance, but the crowd wasn't HOA-ing it. They voted to oust Laura and sue her and Brian for damages. Monday, Laura fought back, suing me for due loss $75,000, claiming I defamed her and sabotaged security. Her lawyer spun a wild tale, blaming VY Tims for negligent home security. It was desperate, but Sarah called with big news. They nabbed the burglary crew, 3 pros who'd cased Crest VYEW for weeks, exploiting the camera blackout. Their phones had texts and photos from an inside source. Wednesday, I found older footage of Laura meeting the same man clear shots this time. Sarah recognized him instantly. That's Mike Russo, a known burglary ring coordinator. The puzzle snapped together. Thursday, a search of Laura's house sealed her fate. Police found maps of Crest VYEU's cameras, photos of target homes, and payment records from Russo. They also uncovered her Uncle Victor's real estate plans, buy low after chaos tank prices. Laura wasn't just clueless, she was a cog in a criminal machine, paid to sabotage security while Victor and Brian reaped profits. Friday, Sarah served warrants for Laura, Brian, and Victor on charges of conspiracy, fraud, and racketeering. As Laura was cuffed, still in those pink pajamas, I felt a mix of triumph and pity. She'd torched our trust for greed. 6 months later, I'm back on my porch, coffee in hand, my new solar panels gleaming. The trial wrapped 3 weeks ago. Laura got 5 years, Brian 3, Victor 7, and Russo's crew 8 to 12. The feds proved they'd hit 3 other neighborhoods, using HOAs as cover for burglary and property flips. My footage of Laura's nighttime prowls was key, showing her scouting for Russo. CIVYL suits followed, compensating VY Tims and covering my panel replacement, plus punitive damages. Margaret's back as HOA president, with new rules to keep power in check. Jake upgraded our security, and Tom's neighborhood watches Crest VYEW safer than ever. This mess bonded us. Neighbors who barely spoke now look out for each other. Sarah's case sparked regional HOA scrutiny, exposing similar scams. New laws now demand oversight for HOAs tied to federal funds. Laura's in a prison 300 miles away, hopefully rethinking her choices. Brian's back with his parents, and Victor's company tanked. They lost everything, while Crest VYEU's stronger than ever. So what do you think? Was Laura just a pawn in her uncle's game, or did she know exactly what she was doing? Should HOAs have this much power, or are they breeding grounds for corruption? Have you faced an HOA tyrant or seen a neighborhood fight back? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if justice felt good, and subscribe for more stories of communities taking a stand.